Hello, today I'm really excited to welcome Joseph Onesta. Joseph works one-on-one with people using a unique combination of clinical hypnosis and personalized coaching to help them take back control of their thoughts, emotions, and habits. And what I really appreciate about his approach is that nothing is cookie cutter. Everything is tailored to the individual. He focuses on helping people move from anxiety to calm, from overwhelm to clarity, and from feeling reactive to actually being in charge of their own responses. And what stood out to me is that he's not just talking about mindset, he's helping people create real measurable changes, even down to things like emotional regulation and blood sugar control. Whether you're working with him in person in Pittsburgh or online from anywhere in the world, it's truly a one-on-one partnership focused on becoming the most grounded, confident version of yourself. So, Joe, I met you in person. Get to see you again. Welcome. I'm really glad to have you here.
I am so tickled to be here.
Good. Tickled.
Tickled, yes.
I like that. Before we start, before I ask any questions, just let our audience know, how we met. Tell us a little bit about uh, just the little details about your life, where you live. I mentioned that you live in Pittsburgh. Um, I believe you're a low carb keto person. Just give us a little brief introduction of who you are.
Okay, so I met John a couple of years ago at a low carb Boca conference. He was so excited about Ben Bickman showing up,
Yeah.
and I was excited about Ben Bickman too because he's one of my, I call him a metabolic hero.
Yeah.
Um, my fellow hypnotists, I might call them hypno heroes, but he's the metabolic hero, and he's an amazing guy. Anyway, about 6 years ago, I was diabetic, and I use the past tense, although I realized that I have certain sensitivities that I still need to take care of.
Mhm.
But I was diabetic. My doctor wanted to put me on a third medication before insulin. My A1C was 10. I got scared,
Mhm.
and I realized that I didn't understand what was going on in my body. So I started to research, and I found folks like Jason Fung and a whole bunch of people, the low carb community, and these are doctors. I mean, Westman, the whole bunch of them. And I started devouring everything and thinking, you know, what if I did this? So I did it, and I went a little nuts. Like I went way deep, and within 4 months, my A1C went from 10 to 5.4,
Wow.
and which meant that technically I was no longer diabetic, but according to insurance companies.
Right.
But anyway, so and I realized as a hypnotist, I often help people lose weight. I have helped them make changes in their lifestyle. The one thing that I realized with my own experience, I mean, I had 100 pounds drop off my body.
Mm.
Uh, uh, One of my massage therapist colleagues across the hallway came to me and really rebuked me for being unprofessional. My clothes were hanging off me. I was testing. He came to me and he said, Joseph, he said, congratulations on the weight loss, but this is unprofessional. And I didn't realize, I knew I was putting holes in my belt, but a kind of body dysmorphia in my mind. I didn't realize that I had gone from basically, I don't know, 48-inch waist to 38-inch waist at the time.
Mhm.
And that was kind of amazing. He offered to go shopping with me. He said, "There's a store down the street, one of those discount stores where you get old stuff." And he said, "Let's go." And I that was an eye opener for me. And I realized that with working with my clients, it would literally be unethical for me not to tell them what I know. The old school method was starve yourself to fit into your clothes and then that's it. You're going to gain it back, right? And
Right.
hypnotists, that was our method. It's like, well, you need to eat less, exercise more. That old diatribe, and it was unethical. So I started working with my clients. I created a program that is pretty much you could do it yourself. I wrote a couple of books about that, but you could do it yourself, except for the motivational part. You know, when I went to the low carb conference, I was surrounded by a room full of highly motivated people.
Yeah.
And I understood, my clients, the people that come to see me, are looking for real help, not just, they don't need to be told to buck up and do it themselves. They need real help. And so my work focuses, I do educate my clients. I educate them on diet. I educate them. We don't call it exercise in my program. We call it activity,
Hmm.
because a lot of obese people think of exercise as kind of a punishment, like I got to work off that Sunday or something. Um, so the program is pretty standard, except my focus is how to make it, how hypnosis, the practice of hypnosis, can help them make it easier
Hmm.
and make that adjustment more permanent rather than I'm going on a diet. So that's who I am. I am in Pittsburgh. I'm not here to market myself, by the way. I don't mind it, but I'm not here to do that. I just like John, and we hit it off at that conference and really enjoyed his company and want to help him in his work because I like what he does. And if you've read his books, if you haven't, by the way, go look for them. They're on Amazon. I'm plugging him. I
Huh.
just bought the, I just bought one. I just bought the oxalates one, John.
Oh yeah. Beyond that, that one just came out. Well,
Right.
that's great, Joseph. Did you want me to call you Joe or Joseph, or it doesn't matter?
I always use Joseph, but you know
Joseph.
what, everybody
All right.
picks.
All right.
I just want them to talk to me.
All right. That's my middle name, by the way. I'm Joseph, John Joseph.
Oh,
So
see, there you, oh, well, if you were Catholic, I would say Happy Saints Day. I've got a
I
bunch of Catholic
was
friends.
raised Catholic, so very Catholic Italian name
Yeah.
there. So a lot of people rely on willpower, as you kind of mentioned, and they keep failing, right? What is it about clinical hypnosis that works when willpower doesn't?
Our unconscious mind sets up rules and operates by those rules. So all of our automatic responses, our automatic uh, thoughts, even our automatic behaviors are based on rules that were established before.
Mhm.
And sometimes they stretch way back even into childhood. So,
Mhm.
for example, a kid about the age of 3, a native English speaker kid will say, for example, they'll say, I runned there or I catched the ball.
Mhm.
Chances are nobody in their family talks that way. They're not imitating anyone, they're not copying anyone. Language is an unconscious function. So their brain, when they're ready for the past tense or tenses in general, their brain makes up a rule linguistically to communicate that. And it works for a lot of verbs,
Hmm.
but not for all.
Well,
You
especially in
could,
English.
yes. So if you correct them, you could say, no, 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 it's not run, it's ran. The child, about the age of 3, by the way,
Uh-huh.
will just say, okay, because they're used to not understanding what you say, and they'll go their own way.
Oh.
Eventually, they don't hear run, they only hear ran, and their unconscious mind goes, oh,
Hmm.
it's not run, it's ran. Now, you and I were talking, and you can think about what I'm saying, you're judging it. It's either that's interesting or it's BS. If your brain tells you that it's BS, what I'm saying isn't getting anywhere near your unconscious. This is why hypnosis and other forms of therapy I don't like the word therapy, but all right. Other forms of change
Mhm.
are different because I'm not working through your conscious mind. I'm working through your unconscious. So when you're in a hypnotic state, you're relaxed. I can give your unconscious information that it says, oh, I don't need a donut. Oh, uh, I'm not hungry. I'm anxious. And of course, if I'm eating for a reason, for example, I see a big I'm missing my mom. She passed away 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and I'm missing my mom. I might actually crave a plate of pasta
Hmm.
because I miss my mom when she made me feel better. She made spaghetti.
Yeah.
There was that smell of sauce in the house, and you'd go up and steal a meatball, and
Yeah.
I hate to sound terribly Italian, but it is part of
Oh, I
it.
can so totally relate. We did that all the time. Bread in it.
So and what I need isn't this pasta. What I need is a chemical in my brain called oxytocin.
Right. Right.
So there are other ways, and I'll teach my clients these things. It's like if you're anxious, you're really looking for either serotonin or dopamine. Let's work on that.
Hmm.
Let's figure out why you're feeling that way and how you respond to it instead of responding to it, for example, with food
Mhm.
or with isolation. And so if I enter a low carb lifestyle and I'm telling myself I can't have that, I'm operating in self-denial. I'm denying myself something.
Mhm.
But I teach my clients, I don't take anything off the table. And as a carnivore, you might think, oh, Joseph, don't say that. But, the truth is, I don't take anything off the table.
Okay.
It's no longer denying myself of anything, it's looking at it and making a decision. So we go from denial to decision. John, a perfectly healthy person who eats an ice cream sundae is going to spike their blood sugar.
Right.
That's an abnormal amount of sugar jumping into the system. So it's not that I don't think I'll ever spike my blood sugar again. It's do I choose right now to do it? And if I do choose it, I'm doing it consciously, not out of emotion, not out of drive, not out of pain, not out of loneliness or missing my mom. It's really about, do I decide to have that? And sometimes I do,
Mhm.
but it's not the way it was before. Because if I go back, if you think, oh, well, I can do it now that my blood sugar is below 5.5, I can do whatever I want. No, because if I go back to what I was doing before, my A1C will be 10 again. Yes, my body is healed to a certain extent, but I've got to do this for the rest of my life.
Right.
And it's a lifestyle change. I can tell you some stories. Tastes change. I can't eat cake anymore. It's way too it's cloyingly sweet.
Sweet. Yeah.
So, did I just overtalk? You get me started.
No, that's the whole point of this is to allow you to elaborate and go into detail, which is it saves me from coming up with 100 questions.
Okay, all right.
So
So
go, run with it.
All right. So imagine that you have these rules.
Okay.
Rules are based on past experiences, and as a child, you interpret those experiences in a certain way. It's the interpretation of those experiences that affect your perception of what happens next.
Hmm.
So you can develop fears, you could develop anxieties, you could develop confidences that seem insane to other people. But you develop, this is all inside you. Once we learn to love, know, and accept and understand ourselves in a much better way, we're no longer fighting ourselves on why do I always do this or why do I not do that? Why? Why, when I lost 100 pounds, did I not? I never stood on a scale because that wasn't my point. I was testing my blood
Right.
with a finger prick, every finger, every day, 10 times.
Oh
I
my
kept the
Lord.
records
Did you ever
because
use a continuous glucose monitor
I,
during that
I,
time?
you couldn't get them.
Oh, back
You
then.
couldn't
Okay.
get them back then.
All right.
I use them now
Hmm.
because I will tell you, by the way, you go through a stressful time, two things are gonna happen in your body,
Right.
particularly if you're prone. Your cortisol levels will rise,
Hmm.
which means you'll gain weight in stress. So stress is a big thing. And the second thing is your blood sugar, particularly if you've had a history of prediabetes or diabetes, is going to go up.
Hmm.
Well, of course, I, I've been through this last year or so, some pretty stressful stuff. And out of curiosity, I ordered a CGM, and I'm looking and I'm thinking, wow, I really need to pay attention to this still.
Hmm.
So yeah, I subscribe. I don't wear it in the traditional place. Shh, I won't tell anybody.
Ooh, I want to know
But
where now.
I don't. I on the back of my arm, because they were like $50 each. These CGMs.
Uh-huh.
On the back of my arm, it would get ripped off in bed.
Oh, I tried Lingo and I did that too. I ripped mine off you just have, I
So,
got used to knowing that it was there, but I would bump it a lot. You're right. So where did you put it? Did you put it on your stomach?
oh, I hate. I'm
Or
not going to show you
all right.
because
So now you've told us
I've
where you
had.
put it, a private
I
place.
I've had man boobs since I was like 12.
Oh, okay.
So I actually wear them up here.
Oh, okay.
And when I sleep, because I sleep on my side, they don't get ripped off. And
Gotcha.
so I go back and forth, and they're fine. I double check. I do still have a finger prick. When I start a new sensor, I want to know if it's working.
Right.
But I still wear it, and I figure until I don't know if I'll do it for the rest of my life. I hate saying that I will, but I don't mind admitting that it might happen, just because I'd like to know.
I know the feeling because I've used one too. So when you were wearing one and your sugar is back down, you're in remission. You're not really a type 2 diabetic that in that sense because your HbA1c is lower, your blood sugar is lower. But when you were getting very stressed with the personal issues in your life, how high did that go? The blood sugar. Did you
Oh,
see the connection between the day and the stressful moment and the
it
number?
it it, it would be more like prolonged stress, and the average in my program. I teach my clients to look at averages
Right.
because the body will adjust to averages, but it 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 doesn't adjust to dramatic things.
Okay.
Temporarily, it'll accommodate them. Like if you go on a crash diet, you might lose 30 pounds, but the minute you stop doing that diet, they'll come back. And it's
Right.
your body saying, wait a minute, I depleted my savings, my energy savings. We have to build that back up. So the change needs to be gradual, not dramatic, and it needs to be prolonged. And so what we were looking for is a gradual change with my clients, particularly a gradual change in blood glucose over a prolonged period of time. And it does sort of jump up sometimes when the body is trying to figure it out. It's like, hey, what the heck? What's going on here?
Hmm.
Why do I not need so much insulin? And so, and there is the reverse, by the way. Like you could go so deep into um, I don't want to say the ketogenic lifestyle. I'm not sure. Like I don't know how to phrase it. It's like you could become so traditionally low in insulin
Okay.
that when you do eat a carbohydrate or something that will your spike can become more dramatic.
Makes sense.
So it's like, holy cow. Now the body will fix that. Like
Yeah.
it will bring down that spike. So if you're looking at the trace and someone who's doing pretty well and they say, oh, I did a terrible thing, I had a donut, let me show you, and the spike goes way up,
Right.
but then you'll see it come down. And if they're in the middle of the process, it'll go up, come down, level off, go back up, even though they haven't eaten anything. It'll go back up and then come down, and eventually it'll get back to where they are. At the end of the process, we might see a little bit more of a dramatic return, but you got to be careful not to continually spike, because the more often you do that, the more your body thinks, oh, well, we're just going back to
Right. The way
where
it
we're
was
at.
before. Yeah.
Right.
Wow. Wow. For someone dealing with anxiety, or being overwhelmed daily, what's the first small shift you help them make that starts changing everything?
I'll tell you a few things that I tell them, and a lot of times anxiety has a lot to do with control. Now it is an individual thing,
Mhm.
right? It can vary, but a lot of times anxiety is, I cannot control what's going on in my life, and you lose a kind of trust in yourself to accommodate or to deal with whatever. So I'll tell my clients, I'll say, I'd like you to think about something here. You have never made a mistake. And they'll big eyebrows up. What do you mean? I've made lots of mistakes. No, you've never. Every decision you've ever made was the best one you thought at the time. It's not, I mean, you'd have to be self-destructive to say, I know I'm not going to survive this, so I might as well jump. People don't make decisions like that. It's like, I've got these choices. I feel trapped. I'm going to do the one thing that I think is best at the moment. It's not a conscious thought, but it is a decision that way. And so the more you learn to grow, love, and trust yourself, the more the things you cannot control don't matter,
Hmm.
because you know that whatever it is that you're facing, you'll be able to handle it. You only know about mistakes in hindsight.
Right.
And John, you know what? You don't even know that. The thing, I'll tell you a story. I when I graduated college, I when I was in college, I wanted to be a spy. Shh, don't tell anybody.
Oh, cool.
that I wanted to be a spy. But then in like my junior year, I realized, no, I'm not going to do this because there are things I don't want to get behind. Like there were these death squads in El Salvador at the time that I just didn't really want to get behind. So it's like I can't do this kind of work because what am I going to do? Say no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so I interviewed at the United Nations, and they offered me a job as a tour guide.
Oh.
And because I could do it in 3 languages, you
Oh,
have a
what
degree
are
in.
the languages? What do you speak?
I speak 5 now.
Seriously?
I
Fluently? That's
no, no,
impressive.
no. In degrees of fluency, but I would
Okay.
be not afraid. Like I lived in Japan for 2 years, but at the time it was English, Spanish, and French.
Okay.
And my French was good enough to answer questions with an accent.
All right.
I'm bilingual in English and Spanish.
Oh.
I also speak Italian,
Oh.
and I'm learning real Italian even still, but the Italian I grew up
The
hearing was,
Sicilian, it's yeah, right. The
yeah,
bad grammar that we all we all grew up with in an Italian family.
yeah. So that was there, and then of course Japanese because I lived there for 2 years.
Oh,
But so they offered me a tour guide job. I I turned it down, and I walked away thinking, Joseph, you're an ass. It's like you would have had an apartment. I would have been living with like ambassadors' children,
oh, in
you
New
know,
York. Yeah.
in New York, because that those might they're there doing their job experience or something. And so it's like you're an idiot. You could have easily gone into foreign service after that, maybe even without taking the test. I could have taken the test,
Uh,
but it's like you're an idiot. And I used to beat myself up for that. But how do I know that I wouldn't have ended up, hostage in some embassy somewhere,
mm, mm.
or tangled up, especially with my initial desire to be a spy, end up doing that kind of work and being in danger. Who knows, right? I look back and I think, boy, did I dodge a bullet because I, I like who I am today. And so the key is to like who you are.
And from that, that's my next question is I'm
Okay.
getting a common denominator thread here of self-love, learning to like and love yourself as a way of healing and learning from yourself. Can you go into that a little bit?
Absolutely. Um, uh, in my philosophy of hypnosis, you don't change because you dislike who you are. You change because you love yourself enough to believe you're worth the effort.
Beautiful.
And so, someone comes to me, they want me to do it for them.
Right.
That's a big hurdle. And if I get that sense, I won't accept them as a client. I'll say, look, when you're ready to do the work, because I can't follow you around.
Right.
You tell me you want to quit smoking, for example. I'm not going to be standing behind you at the 7-Eleven saying, don't buy the cigarettes. You have to want to do this and to believe that you're worth it. So that little bit, you know, John, every baby is born into perfection. A mother or father will hold their child and think this baby is perfect. Well, don't be shocked to know that the baby thinks so too.
Right.
Because what do they know? That's if you know that there's something wrong with the world or something wrong with you, if you think there's something wrong with you, somebody else told you that. When you were a baby, you were fine.
Right.
No matter what. You might have been shy. Maybe not a forward kid, but that's not a bad thing. Maybe a little too forward. You had to be pulled back a little. That's what parents are for. So it's like, all right, you were born into perfection. Let's just meditate on the fact that you are who you are right now. And in order to become who you want to be, because you're not going to be the same person. We are always in a stage or in a state of growth, always until we die. I'm 65. I'm still growing. So whatever was in the past, it was what it was. I can't change it. I can reinterpret it. I can understand it in a different way, whatever it was. It is what it is because it was what it was, and this is where I logically ended up. Just like sugar. If I eat too if I, eat a whole bunch of crap, I'm going to end up as a diabetic. That's what happened to me. Actually, it was a low-fat diet, I think, that did it.
Well, with the low fat comes the sugar too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so I am who I am, and I have to be who I am right now. So, if I believe, and I do, I'm in the right place at the right time doing the right thing, then I'm growing. And I'll be that guy that I'm going to be. And because I like me now, I love me now, I'm going to love me then. Even if I've ended up in the interim doing something I look back on and think that wasn't the greatest.
That brings me to regrets. People
Uh-huh.
have a lot of regrets, and then that lowers their self-esteem. They feel they made those mistakes, and they always
Mm-hmm.
think, if I had only chosen this, I would be better today. What do you say to someone like that to help
Well,
them
first of
come to
all,
terms
number
with it?
one, yeah, you don't know that's true, right?
Mhm.
Like
You
I
don't.
used to think, yeah, right. You don't know that that's true. You don't know what would have happened. You are banking on something that never happened having been better than what you experienced. That's a gamble, and it's a bet I'm not willing to take.
Okay.
You know, there are people every year. The largest hypnosis conference in the world is in Las Vegas in the middle of the summer. Who wants to go to Las
This
Vegas?
summer. I've been there. I've been there when it's 120 degrees.
But anyway, it's this hotel full of 1,000 hypnotists, and you go there,
There's a
and
joke in there somewhere.
oh, there's a lot. I used to do stand-up comedy. Well, anyway, that was
Go
a
ahead. I'm
hobby
sorry.
of mine
I
growing up.
interrupted you.
That's okay. The idea that what we think, you can't be any place that you can't be anywhere where you're not right now. Like I can't be in Florida right now. That's impossible. I could go get on a plane and be in Florida later,
Hmm.
but I can't be in Florida right now. I can't be in Las Vegas in the middle of summer unless I plan to go there.
Right.
And if I go there, I'm going there for a reason. I don't know what's going to happen. I trust myself enough to know that whatever happens, I'll handle it. I was there one year, and COVID ran through the hotel.
Oh boy.
And what they did in Vegas at the time was awful. They would, if you went to the front desk and said, I need to test for COVID, and you tested positive, they would move you to like one of these abandoned hotels
Oh.
far away, like, we're not using this place anymore.
Hmm.
And you had to order your own food.
Wow.
And it's like, you can't get on a plane.
Right. Yeah. I remember.
So, yeah, all right. Whatever happens, I'm up to it. and I'll manage in whatever way I can, and I trust me. To you, this is not a question for you, John, particularly, but the question for the person listening is, do you trust you? Some people isolate because they think they're the only person that they can
Yeah,
trust.
yeah, too far the other way.
Right. And it's like, all right, but you're not trusting your hoarders, by the way, are this way too, because they're insulating. That's just a big bunch of insulation. And what if I need this someday? Mentality. But the notion is very simple. If you need something, you'll get it. A little more woo wooey. I would say if you need something, you'll have it.
Mm-hmm.
But I straddle too much on the side of the science of it than the woo woo of it. And we hypnotists, we're all over the place. But it's like, all right, it's just a matter of interpretation. If I need something, then I'll either be able to get it or I'll have it. And if I have to ask for help, can I stretch my mind to believe that's exactly what needs to happen? So, what else do I say? I say, all right, I don't have to be anxious because what will be will be. It is what it is, and it was what it was. And that in its essence is counter anxiety.
It's a big sigh of relief when you say that. I can feel that. Like,
Mhm.
ah, there's a big rock off my shoulders if I need to believe that. Yeah.
What if, what if I mess up? Wouldn't be the first time,
Oh.
and it won't be the last.
And we
And
learn from our mistakes.
absolutely
I've done the greatest growth, I think, comes from the mistakes we made because we'll keep making the same mistake if we didn't learn from it.
right.
So that's
Well,
important.
and this is the thing. You just pressed the button right there. Why do I keep X? Why do I keep Xing? Why do I keep Ying?
Hmm.
You keep doing it because that's the rule you set up when you were perhaps very young, and you don't know how to change it. It takes time. It takes un, a, a broader understanding of who you are to change it. Uh, there's a guy, his name is Gabor Mate. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's a physician. He talks a lot about childhood trauma. A lot of my clients come with traumas.
Mhm.
The majority probably of the traumas, the majority are from childhood. What they've done is they've made rules as kids which no longer function as adults. Like it worked as a kid because a kid had no autonomy. Like a kid had to deal with stuff. But as adults, they have
Right.
autonomy, and now So it's that. It's
But the rule is
also
still
related.
there, right? Because as an adult,
Yeah,
the
the
rule's still
rule is
there,
still
and
there.
yeah, makes a lot of sense.
And so why do I keep why do I keep choosing, why do I keep dating people who are abusive, for example?
Yeah.
So, and that's a kind of an extreme, but it's there. Why do I
Mhm.
keep? Well, we got to change the rule so that, and a lot of times with something like that, it's about knowing yourself well enough to set a boundary to say, oh no, it's just that way. It's just, oh, no, 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 I don't go there. But if I think I'm so pathetic that nobody will love me unless I am pliable
Mm.
and I do exactly what they want, then I end up with people who take advantage of that, and I end up attracting people who see me as malleable. Another kind of trauma, believe it or not, which uh, it sometimes goes to childhood trauma, but often just even as adults, is religious trauma.
Hmm.
And so people who have been hurt by their expression of faith, either because they were overly corrected as their behavior, or they've become something they're not to fit into a group of people, particularly at a church.
Hmm.
And I'm not criticizing churches per se, but it's how a person views that and how they react to it and what they do to themselves in that environment. And there are abusive churches, no doubt, but
Right.
I'm not I'm not I'm not speaking about religion as much as people conforming to something that they don't really understand.
The abuse. It makes sense. Yeah, a thought keeps coming up as you're talking that you'll probably address if we keep talking, and that is self-forgiveness. Is that part of loving yourself is to label something that you did that you can't forgive yourself and you hold a grudge against yourself. How do you teach people, maybe through hypnosis, to let that go and and forgive yourself so you can
Yeah,
love
I,
yourself more deeply?
it's going to sound overly simple, but what we have to, it goes back to what I said before about you did what you thought was the best thing at the time. So you did something that hurt somebody, and yeah, that wasn't very nice, and you hurt someone, and maybe you ran away from it. But at the end of the day, you look at yourself and say, I did what I did. You could say because I wanted to, because I had to, because I didn't have a choice. You can say whatever you want. But I am no longer that person because I have become who I am. Now, if I'm afraid of me and I think I still am that person,
Mhm.
we need some more work.
Yeah.
And sometimes the work goes beyond my scope of practice. But uh, because I'm not a mental health professional, I'm not a
It
licensed.
sounds like it is as well, though. You're helping people mentally,
Oh,
majorly.
certainly, but I'm not qualified to diagnose or treat.
Right.
Right. So, I don't. I know. I've learned quite a bit about psychology and the workings of the mind. Um, my experience. I mean, I actually have therapists who come to see me
Oh,
um, because what I do is different. It's
it
not.
is.
It's not talking about it. It's not. It's not like cognitive behavioral therapy, which is great, where you make up these sort of progressive exercises to build your way out of certain problems. But it's all great. Uh,
Mhm.
my on the hypnosis side is there's that little kid inside that says, "But I don't wanna," or "I'm afraid to," or "I can't." "I can't" is the most vile phrase in human nature. I had a client come to me once, and he actually came to me. He was in stage 4 cancer, and he couldn't stop thinking about death. And so one of the things that we did, he told me a story which I'd love to tell you, but we'll see if we have time. Um, he, you remember those old, like when you put something on a copy machine and the light would go
Yeah.
bzzz.
Photocopy.
I so in hypnosis, he stage 4 cancer. He wanted to stop thinking about death because in stage 4, basically, what they're saying is we're going to make you comfortable,
Right.
and it's a very scary thing. And if you haven't dealt with your own mortality, it's an issue, right? So in hypnosis, I had him imagine laying on like a tanning bed, but this was a scanner. And the scanner would go from his head, the top of his head, to his feet. And he used to watch this as if he were watching himself, and any dark areas in his body, to just imagine. You see, your unconscious mind does not know the difference between imagination and fact.
Hmm.
So imagine any dark, whatever you see, a dark area, and depending on how he felt about himself, there might be a lot, there might not be a lot. Whether he associated that with cancer or not had nothing to do with it. Maybe he did. But he would, every time he saw the dark area, thank it, say it no longer needs to be dark because you acknowledge it. Thanks
Hmm.
for being there. And watch it, literally imagine it dissipate. And at the end of the exercise, I said, so how do you feel? He says, well, I'm okay right now. And I like that. I'm okay right now. Now, from now on, whenever you feel the fear or you feel the confusion, simply close your eyes, imagine being on the tanning bed, the scanner, and go through the process.
Hmm.
We worked together 3 or 4, maybe 5 times. I don't remember exactly. And he said, at one point, he said, I've kind of had a breakthrough. Every time I do this exercise, I realize that I'm okay right now.
Right
And
now.
I said, great, that's right. He
Hmm.
said, so I've added to it. I hope you don't mind. And I said, no, I don't mind. He said, so now I say, I'm okay right now, and I'll probably be okay later because every
Beautiful.
time I do this,
Right.
I'm okay. Great, great,
Huh.
perfect. What do I? It's his.
Yeah,
It's
right.
his. And then in our last session, he said, I think we're done. He said, because now, whenever I have that anxious fear and I'm worried about it, when it comes up, I realize that I am okay right now, and I'll probably be okay later, even if I die.
Wow.
And it's like, you're right. That's perfect. That's what he came for,
Right.
right? And then he's able to live his life. I did get an email from him. I should have saved it. I'm kind of stupid that way in terms of my business. I should have saved it. I should have framed it because he said, "Well, I've outlived my prognosis and I'm still okay." And I don't know how much. I don't know whether he died or not.
Mhm.
I don't morbidly go through obituaries to see.
Right.
But the truth is that I know that because he was able to put himself in the moment with that little exercise laying on the tanning bed, and he wasn't getting a tan, by the way. His skin didn't get dark or anything like
Mhm.
that. Some people would say that. Oh wow, yeah, he even got a tan. Okay, whatever. Some hypnotists are wild, some of them. But you know, that's the thing. Do you have time for me to tell you the story?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay. So he said when he was a Boy Scout, he was a fat kid, and he was going on a little jamboree weekend with 4 or 5 other troops, and the troop leaders had created a kind of obstacle course. In like Boy Scout campgrounds, they used to be Boy Scouts, now they're just Scouts. The campgrounds would have like playgrounds in the middle for like
Hmm.
and he said they converted it into an obstacle course. And one of the obstacles was a set of monkey bars. You know what monkey bars are, I
Right.
assume.
Yeah.
And he said, I could never do that. It's hand over hand swing. I could never do it because I was fat and I would lose my grip and fall. And he's in anxiety over this.
Hmm.
He's in anxiety because he knows they're being evaluated on troop level, like team level,
Right.
and everything is timed. And he watched this one kid fall, and the scout leader blew the whistle and made him try again, did it 3 times, humiliated the kid, right? We're not supposed to do that these days. We're not supposed to humiliate children, but it happened back then. And he said, when I got up there, I was ready to have a dump in my pants. I was so scared. And he said, I'm there. I'm watching this guy, my friend, go in front of me, and he's sailing across. And it's like, how can I do this? He said, everything changed at that moment.
Hmm.
How can I do this? And he said, it just came to me. Look, you can't do it this way, the normal way. So why don't you try climbing on top and crawling across? See
There
what
you
they
go.
say. I mean, the worst thing that's going to happen, what's the worst? He's going to blow the whistle and say no. But it's already going to do that anyway. So it can't get any worse than it is right now. He climbed on top. He pulled himself. Imagine this little chubby kid using all of his strength to get his tuchus over the bar so he could be on top. And he crawled across. The scout leader didn't blow the whistle. He went down the other end. Everybody is yelling at him, cheater, cheater, but he wasn't. And he said, I learned to never say I can't. How can I? And that's why I came to you, because I didn't know how I could.
Ah,
That's the
beautiful.
guy with the cancer.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's not me, right? It's not really about me. It never is. It's always about them.
Hmm.
Some people I can't help, but only because they won't let me or they don't believe it.
Well, they have to want it.
They have to want it enough and believe that they are worth the effort.
That's hard to. So I would think it would be difficult to convince someone that they're worth it, because some people have such a very low self-esteem of them, so they come to you with all the baggage of low self-esteem.
We work through it.
Hmm.
But a lot of times, John, they're actually already going to a therapist.
Hmm.
And they're working through these things. And because the therapist is basically dealing on a conscious level, they already have the cognitive buy-in for what we're doing. Because they're not making the connection between, okay, I get that I was just a kid. I don't need to be ashamed of that because, okay, I dirtied myself in the 2nd grade and, I was embarrassed. And every time I think about it, I feel that same embarrassment come up. I was just a kid. If I saw a 7-year-old kid who did that, I would pick them up and say, honey, it's all right. I know that intellectually, I know I don't need to be ashamed of that. But they can't get it into their unconscious.
Right. And that's where you come in.
So when you're in hypnosis, and there are lots of, you go in and out of hypnosis every day, all the time. You just don't know it. And, someone who's in a car accident, for example, they get out of the car, they're walking around. You're the good Samaritan. Are you all right? Yeah, I'm fine. Well, go sit down over there because we have to call the ambulance. I don't really need an ambulance. It's okay. We still have to call them. It's a rule. And they'll do it. They'll follow you. They're actually in a kind of hypnotic
Hmm.
state because they'll listen to you. I mean, who are you? Why are they listening to you? They're listening to you because they're in hypnosis.
Hmm.
And they're confused. So, and you find out later that they can't move, that they've got whiplash and their
Right.
body aches, and things are broken. And, you know, you go in and out of hypnosis quite naturally when you're driving, even in Florida, a very scary place to drive. I hate to say it.
South Florida, especially. Yes.
So, but, you know, you're not, how could they do that? Like someone from outside, I used to live in Los Angeles, and people would say, how could you drive here? It's very frightening. It's like, I don't even think about it. That's a kind of hypnosis. So when you're in my office and you've allowed yourself to go into relaxation, I can tell you stories like the monkey bars story,
Hmm.
right? And so the whole point is with that story is you only think you can't because you can only see one avenue. Well, if that road is closed, take a detour,
I love that.
go another way.
Hmm.
And their unconscious mind goes, oh, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
I can do that. Yeah. I can
I
do it
can
now. Yeah.
I can do it.
Instead of I can't.
Oh,
I love that.
it's not run, it's ran. And they never make the mistake again.
Beautiful. Hmm.
So that's clinical hypnosis. It's not magic. I don't have
No,
a
it's
stopwatch.
it's simpler than most people think,
Hmm.
but it makes a lot of sense. I have one final question that I want to ask you, Joseph.
Sure.
What's the biggest misconception people have about hypnosis, and what is it really like when someone experiences it for the first time?
Okay. The the biggest misconception is that it can be applied like a medication to treat a symptom. All right. So, yeah, there are certain things, like if you come to me for a fear of heights, there are things I can do that will help you break through that fear. But your internal monologue, some people don't have an internal monologue. Do you?
I think I
Are
do.
you narrating your life as you go along in your mind, thoughts in language?
Sometimes.
Okay. So that internal monologue is actually self hypnosis.
Hmm.
You can undo what I do in the office simply by going back to your old thoughts. So, part of my job is to train you to recognize when you're doing that and to shift out of it.
Okay.
Oh, it's not I can't, it's how can I?
How can I?
Okay. So that misconception is that I can do something, I as a hypnotist can do something and take something away or put something in. I don't know. It's not impossible, but it's not necessarily all the time. Um, what was the second half of that question? Just because I spent too much time.
Uh, what was the second half? It was how can I?
Oh, wait, I got it. Never mind.
All right.
What's it like? What does hypnosis feel
Well,
like?
yeah, what's it like?
Okay, so for the vast majority of people, it's like sitting in a chair with your eyes closed and I'm talking. That is their experience. And I'm putting air quotes around the experience.
Mhm.
Hypnosis follows a wave pattern. So, do you remember your trigonometry?
Yes.
Okay, so Do you remember a sine curve?
Negatively, I remember it negatively, but go
Well,
ahead.
yeah, I don't mean to bring back terrible memories, but imagine a wave pattern that goes
Sine
like
wave,
this,
right?
up and
Mhm.
down, and there's an axis, a line in the middle.
Okay.
When your awareness, and I'm consciously not using the word consciousness, when your awareness is above that line,
Okay.
you are just sitting in my chair with your eyes closed and listening to me talk. When you are below that, that axis, you don't know that you're not just sitting in the chair.
You
So
don't
you
know.
are not aware that you're not just that guy sitting in the chair. So very often a client will say to me, I don't think I was hypnotized.
Mhm.
And I'll just smile because I know better. I can see. That's my training. I can see. So I'll look at them and say, how long do you think we were doing that?
Oh.
And they will give me a time, but it will be wildly distorted.
Hmm.
Wildly. It's like, oh my gosh, I gotta, I gotta go home and cook dinner. It's like, you're fine. Or, oh, it was like 5 minutes. Well, it was a lot longer than that.
Huh.
And so, that's the only, we call them convincers, by the way, but that's the only convincer I use. Some people are amazingly accurate, but I still know that they were hypnotized because I could see it on them. It's this thing called hypnotic mask. I call it doughy face. All the muscles of the face just relax.
Relax. Huh.
And so, and I can see them from here, like they're just across the office. And so, even though I keep my office kind of dark, like this is too bright, but I can still see them, and I know when they're in hypnosis or when they're below that threshold. You also, by the way, you go below that threshold when you're listening to comedy. The comedian says something, it makes you laugh, and you almost don't hear what he says next.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's like it's coming too fast.
You're still in it.
You're still in it, and you're laughing. You're laughing,
You're reacting. Yeah.
even consciously. If I can get you to laugh, and you're what and so while you're laughing, because I said something funny that I didn't even know it was funny. I'll say, if you want to quit smoking, I'll say, and so you're not going to smoke again. You don't need to smoke anymore. You know it. And you didn't even hear me say it.
Hmm.
And so it's like, all right, maybe it was enough, maybe it wasn't. I mean, smoking is it's getting less and less. It's actually quite nice that fewer
Thankfully.
and fewer people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So does that answer your question?
It does. It does. It's fascinating. And I remember when I spoke with you a few years ago, how fascinated I was because this is a profession you don't hear too much of. And there's a lot of skepticism in it, just as there can be for any kind of therapy. So I find you very interesting, Joseph. This has been a really cool interview. Thank you so much. Is there one last thing that you'd like to share before we leave that maybe we didn't get a
Um,
chance to talk about?
you've got my contact information
I
and
do.
my name on the screen. All you have to do if you want to email me is put that name there and put Gmail after it,
Okay.
and you can find me. But I don't, like I said, I'm not here for marketing. I will say you should buy John's books.
What about you? Let's talk about your books. You said you wrote a few books. What are the names of your books,
I have.
Joseph?
I've got several
Can you hold any up?
books
Do we have
on.
any nearby?
Oh, I'd have to go. Yeah,
Just
here's
curious.
one.
Life without
Life
diabetes.
Without Diabetes.
All right.
These are the nonfictions. I am working on. I love murder mysteries. It's always been my
Do you?
candy
Yeah.
reading.
Yeah.
So I've got a number of books, basically on metabolic this one is an over-the-counter sort of do-it-yourselfer, but
Mhm.
the other ones are the books I give my clients. Yeah, I can't. I'd have to get up and go and get them. I should have had them over
That's
here.
okay. All right.
But no, I will say this though: read John's books, and when you read them, think about leaving a review on Amazon. He could use your help.
And the same for yours. Yeah, the reviews
All
people
right,
don't realize are important. They're really helpful, and it only
they
takes a
are,
few minutes.
and you don't have to go into a lot of detail. The
Right.
idea is right that it it gets that word out. More people need to know what you have to say, and so like, did I write this book to make $1 million?
No,
No.
neither did I.
You know, you only get almost nothing from selling
Right.
a book on Amazon.
People don't know that.
Well, they do now because I just told them.
Yeah.
But for me, this book and the other metabolic, all of the books that I've ever written, even the murder mysteries, I just want people to read them and benefit from them. I'm not gonna. It's not my retirement.
Right.
I'm not gonna get a. I'm not gonna get a movie deal out of Life
Right.
Without Diabetes.
You never know.
So,
Well, Joseph,
all right.
this has been so cool. It's been long in coming. I should have done this sooner. And I would
Well,
love to interview you again and get a little more specific about the diabetes and about
sure.
that particular book, because that's my focus is on nutrition and the carnivore
Right.
way of eating.
Let's
Yeah.
do that.
All right.
Let's do that. I mean, I don't know that I'll say anything that Ben Bickman hasn't already said better than me, but
We
yeah.
we say it differently. We say how it affected us. It's
You know what I think
there's
is
always more to
funny?
know.
Don't tell him I said this. But he thinks he's dumbing it down.
Oh, yeah. Is he doing it? He probably is dumbing it down, and it's
No,
kind of
no,
over
he
our
is.
heads as it
He
is.
really is.
He's amazing. Yeah.
All right.
All right, my
John,
friend.
thank you so much.
Stay on after I end the recording so I can give you a proper goodbye. And
All right.
thank you again.